Hey YouTube, it's Yeasty Goodness again, back after a long break. But today we're doing something a little different. I'm going to show you guys my Minecraft world, just for grins. So let's get started. So, this is the base. You can see we got this nice wall around everything. That's thanks to some of the other people I was playing with. We have not played in a while. This is more just a thing because some buddies of mine said, hey, you should do that. You should give a video tour. I said, sure, why not? So this is another friend's place. That's a little portal to the mining dimension. That's a separate mod. This is Feed the Beast Infinity Evolved for Minecraft 1.7.10. I've added Thaumic bases as well because I wanted to manipulate Thaumcraft 4 nodes a little bit. Let's see. So this cobblestone structure here with the Bifrost glass on top, which is the color changing blocks you see there. That's a Starfield creator, right? So if you guys check out the top center of my screen, you can see in small print I got some Wayla tips, so it'll tell you what anything I'm looking at is. It's daytime now, so you can't see it, but this we affectionately refer to as the factory. We've got a little crack cocaine farm because this is a coke oven. LOL. Factory was kind of one of our first buildings that we built here. We've got a few basic things in here. I've upgraded the place a little bit. You can see here's a arcane crafting terminal. That's from Applied Energistics 2, or rather a compatibility mod between Thaumcraft and AE2. I think it's, yeah, Thaumic Energistics, that's it. Thank you, Wayla Tooltip. We had some IC Industrial Craft 2 devices, or IC2. We have some flowers and some bee stuff from another player. It's the bee house. And yeah, so we got that. So this is just some basic stuff. It's not too impressive right now, but we were just playing around. This, however, this is the base. This is my wizard tower. I built it up on top of a silverwood tree that I grew. I've got the goggles are revealing on, so you can see this little node inside here. That was the base. This is still kind of a work in progress. I kind of got bored part of the way through it, so there's parts of it that aren't finished, like this cabling for the Applied Energistics network going up the side here. It doesn't have covers on it. This is this recharging wing, or what did I name it? The recharging station. Yeah, still a work in progress. You can kind of notice the thing here. I had a mishap a while back with flux creating a eerie biome, but eventually I'll figure I'll move these out at some point. But this is to recharge the Thaumcraft 2 stuff. There's a energized node, which, let's see here, what's it got? Yeah, so at least 10 and everything, so it recharges fairly quickly. We got a few devices over here. The wireless charger is the most important because I used to have a whole bunch of stuff over here, but I've since moved it out. There's some trophies from, was it Open Blocks, I think? Yeah, Open Blocks for just killing enough of these things. Statistically, they drop at a very low percentage, so eventually if you kill enough of the shown mob, then you get the trophy. You can see kind of these little white lines. These are the V relays sending the V power everywhere. That kind of keeps everything charging at the moment. I'm currently working on well, not currently, but when I pick this back up for reals, I've got a hungry node that I'm working on. I've decided to use these ethereal platforms to control vertical movement. It's given that I can fly now, and most people and everybody has a jetpack here. It makes sense to do it this way, because then you can just whoop, fall through. Oh, hey, we're out. Okay. Also, I've got let's see, I've got some jump boost on here. So let's see, can I jump up here? I can. Hey, look at that. I can even jump up to the next level too. Yeah, so I used ethereal platforms, which are really only solid from the top and when you're not sneaking. So if you can see I sneak here real quick, can't go on top of it. But if I walk across them normally and then press the sneak key, boom, they fall through. So that's kind of fun. I've decided to put a lot of the normal crafting stations and stuff. There was a lot more here originally, but I decided to embed this stuff in the floor just to make it easier to walk around, because you can just go, well, I'm getting someplace. Okay. So we've got a QED, which currently says Quacky Ender Device, but basically this is like a special crafting table that is part of extra utilities. It makes some fairly useful stuff. The only thing I really use it for is the Magnum Torch, which is a pretty dope item. Keeps enemies from spawning. An ever full urn, infinite water just to keep this Petal Apothecary from Britannia going. Trading post lets you remotely access various trades from villagers that are in range. Those are a couple floors above us, but given how many resources I have, villagers are not really necessary anymore. Got an ender chest, right? Keep some fish in here just so I can refill my Talisman of Nourishment, which is pretty cool. It automatically feeds you. We've got a Focal Manipulator for Thaumcraft foci. Those are pretty fun too. Got a Matter Condenser from AE2. Standard brewing stand, a Crucible, or rather a Thaumatorium at this point, from Thaumcraft. So that's pretty neat. You can make all kinds of neat stuff in there. Here we go, the Arcane Terminal. So this is kind of, this is a crafting thing. This allows you to swap the armor out. This allows you to recharge wands. So here I've got a Icorium wand. You can see the tooltip. It's got, there's 6 sets of numbers here, like 982.9, 959.3. Those are the different kinds of V. The 6 elemental kinds. So I think from left to right, it's air, earth, fire, water, order, entropy. But you just put it here, and you can see they all start charging up. And that's pretty fun there. The fluid terminal allows me to interact with my ME network with various fluids. The liquid XP is actually because I've got a storage bus attached to a experience obelisk, which is a pretty cool item. Here we've got the enchanting wing, right? This is not in any particular order. I'm really spitballing this. I've got some extra book and quills. Those are used for the Ender IO Enchanter. You put a book and quill here and some whatever item you need there, so you can get some pretty cool stuff with that. The Osmotic Enchanter. I'll actually go over a lot of this stuff later on. In this case, I've used the mana pylons from Britannia to take the place of bookshelves and condense everything. I'd like to actually extend this window around again. Enchantment to the enchantment table, the disenchanter, both pretty cool items. Well, the enchanting table not so much. The typesetting table and the printing press from Bibliocraft were pretty useful at a few points. I got this void metal anvil, which is from Thaumic Bases. Basically, it's a regular anvil made out of void metal from Thaumcraft, which means that it slowly repairs itself over time. This is just arcane work table. Ooh, excuse me. You recharge things same as the arcane crafting terminal. I've got a little bedroom and study over here, right? So this is where I did my Thaumcraft research. Got a few extra things that I might pick up at some point here. A little bed, a little crafting thing. Got some stuff stored in here. A little simple great wood wand for when I run out of ink when I'm doing this stuff. I have a set of Elementium armor just for grins, right? And this also affords a rather nice view of the tree farm down there. Those are all great wood saplings and thaumium golems to help manage everything. There's the bee house. The factory over there, you can see with a little bit of that redstone wiring right there. That's a natural mob spawner. It doesn't require any power. The other block in the distance, that was the previous mob spawner, which we'll see the upgraded version later on. That is where I spawned, oh, hey, I need, blaze rods. Let's spawn a bunch of blazes. Okay. And, oops. So, yeah. So we've got from another person doing some witchery stuff over here. So yeah, so this is the Wizard Tower. There's a little bit of Britannia stuff right here with living rock and these pure daisies. This is a little pond where I used to put a fishing golem to stash stuff in the chest. This is the Greatwood farm that I mentioned a little earlier. This is back when I was still using the BC Buildcraft pipes, which are neat to look at, but they're not as good as the Ender IO pipes. So some sapling storage here. This guy replants the saplings. These two are felling or chopping golems. You can kind of see the little axe-like icon right there. This little guy, I love him because he's got the Bane mask on. So this guy, as well as this guy with no mask, they pick up all the stuff that falls, right? This guy picks up the wood blocks and the saplings and puts them in this chest, which sorts them out and does all that good stuff. This guy only picks up the logs and puts them in this ender chest. Right? Now this ender chest, you can notice red, 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 right? That's the code for my smelting. So I use ender chests to move things transdimensionally as well, and to just put things in specific automated machines that I've got. Let's take a quick look over here. This is the natural one. I have some things here to turn off the thaumic relocators. Those are what push enemies out. Basically, you just flip this switch and they'll start spawning. They get pushed down into here. And if we go up, right, so you can see all these redstone lamps. That's so you can turn the spawning on and off. Right now it's off because the lamps are on. You can see it's just a bunch of skeleton spider spawners. And these are the relocators. They push things. Whoa! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Yes. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So that kills everything here, and that doesn't require any power. Whereas this thing, which is now just an empty shell, needed some RF power to get it going. This is where we had a mine with some Steve's carts. You can kind of tell Steve's carts things sent down there. That's a little miner to mine everything out. It's just a gigantic cave down there. Nothing particularly interesting though. Again, Steve's carts, we needed a metric buttload of wheat and seeds for other stuff, and crack cocaine. LOL. Alright, just a little joke here. We have the thermal centrifuge. This is what separates the uranium, purifies uranium for IC2 stuff, so of course this has to be the Iranian nuclear program. Let's see. Whoop. So now we will, this is like the wizard tower and a few of the stuff around here. The other major part to this build is the lobby and the pocket dimension, both of which are in the same dimension, but we're going to take the, I think it's RF tools. Is it RF tools? Yeah, it's RF tools. You have these teleporters, right? So now we are in the lobby, right? So you can see there's a bunch of this Bifrost glass. I've actually used Aurora blocks from Twilight Forest because they look pretty cool. So this is a matter transmitter teleporter to take you out of here. I'm going to put a blood magic altar over here. Let's see. I've also used the Ender IO travel anchors. So you can see when I step off and then step on, you can see right here some of these new things pop up. All you do is crouch, whoop, teleport. Yeah, this is my trophy area. So I've put, armor sets that I've either previously used, like this one, or let's see, I've used this. This is the quantum suit from IC2. I think this is Wyvern armor. Yeah, Wyvern armor. Currently, I'm using the Awakened Icorium stuff from Thaumic Tinkerer because it's dope AF. So, cool stuff like endgame stuff or just powerful stuff or unique stuff. I said, F it, just make it, put it on the pedestals, display things, be a baller, all kinds of cool stuff. This is sort of the Zephyr, though, than a workhorse. Okay, so let's see. So the lobby, so the main platform here, got a lot of the same stuff that you saw in the Wizard Tower, right? Got an arcane crafting terminal, fluid terminal, QED thing, doing that. Dialing device just for changing where the transmitter sends you. We also got an Essentia terminal, right? In addition to storing fluids and items in my ME network, I also store various kinds of Essentia from Thaumcraft. And then the interface and pattern terminals are used to manage my auto crafting. And I've got a lot of auto crafting. You can see here we got, 32 molecular assemblers. That's the auto crafters from AE2. And then a bunch of other machines that have things on them, like, so if I need to make Electrum or Invar or bronze or, whatever, energy crystals, stuff like that, I can make them. A lot of other stuff too. we'll address that later. So right here, we've got a set of skystone block chests, because they usually grant an extra layer here, and they don't merge with each other. So every one of these machines draws from the chest above it, right? So we've got a sawmill, induction smelter, pulverizer, redstone furnace, soul binder, slice and splice, alloy smelter, sag mill, fluid canning machine, bottling plant, recycler, compressor, thermal centrifuge, extractor, master. Yeah, so all these machines, right? Ooh, excuse me. And they pull from the chest above them. And then you can see I've got the IC2 machines down here, and that sort of bluish panel that you see with this glass cable coming off of it. That's an EU port. So I'll address that later. But then got all this Ender IO conduit behind it to pull the finished items out of all of these machines, right? And it funnels them. So there's also some power coming up here. We got some RF power coming to these machines that need it, and everything gets funneled into this draconic chest because it's absolutely huge. And so any outputs from all these machines get funneled into here. Another thaumatorium, thalmic restorer, to repair items, simple brewing stand with a hopper on top to sort of mildly automate some of that stuff. Again, these diamond blocks, or what look like diamond blocks, are really just the panels. Right? You see AE2, the tooltip at the top, AE2 cable and or bus. Right? So they look like diamond blocks, but it's just aesthetic. So let's just go through the various areas. We already went through the trophy area. Right, I built a little pond down here. This is kind of fun. I got a little fishing golem, and let's see, he's picking up some good stuff. Right, fishing his little heart out. Let's see. So that's the pond. Wait, there we go. We've got a mob farm over here. So both here, kind of this little ornate glass right here. That's ineffable glass, which means players can pass through, but items and mobs can't. Again, up here, this is just sort of an easy way to get in without messing anything up. So here, these are all the powered spawners for the mob spawner, right? So this is just a mega mob spawner. Over here, these are the mobs that tend to fly. So like wisps from Thaumcraft, or blazes that can fly up. I've got a bunch of thalmic relocators to push them down, a bunch of things, and funnel them down here into this kill zone, where you can either see through the glass here. We've got that Draconic Evolution mob grinder, which runs on RF power, or you can kind of see that little thing right there. It's kind of pulsating. That's an autonomous activator that I've given this badass Awakened Decorium sword to, because it's invincible, right? It doesn't have any durability, so it goes forever, so I don't have to worry about it. This is an ender chest that dumps directly into my ME network, right? So I can always just add things remotely, which makes it great if you go out and just look for loot. You're just like, oh, my inventory's full. Dump it in the pile and come back and keep going. This is the control panel for the mob grinder here. So like I can spawn blazes. I just, whoop, wrong button. There we go. Yeah, I click it and you kind of see, yep, look at that. Get down there and just get absolutely myrtleized. Yep. I can turn them off, and eventually they'll get out of there, right? But let's say I spawn some spiders, some wisps, blazes, and mini ghasts. Yeah, okay. And you can see over here it also has a specific readout, because even though you can see the buttons change, it's not always immediately obvious. So this is just to help keep track of the status. Some little extra stuff down there that I'm not quite sure I'm going to do anything with. Yeah, so there's that. They're all controlled by, you may notice, let's get inside here, you can see. But you can see these redstone conduits from Ender IO. They've got these little colored bands around them. Those specify different color channels, so that each of these buttons corresponds to one of these redstone receivers, and then it goes to the redstone conduits, which are all keyed to different channels, so I can individually turn on and off all of these spawners, although every spawner that's in a column is the same kind, right? So I've got 3 spawners of every kind. Got an extra slot here, not sure what to put there. This tesseract is used to draw from the main power with these cryo flux ducts, which have limitless RF transfer to supply enough power to everything. So that's the mob grinder. Then let's see. Oh, I almost forgot. Yeah, I've got all these ender chests here so that in the lobby I can just dump stuff into various things. So if I want to smelt food, that's got its own dedicated smelter, because using the infernal furnace from Thaumcraft 4, a lot of food like beef or pork or chicken will going through the infernal furnace will give you a little extra nugget of that thing from time to time. And that actually synergizes extremely well with this Talisman of Nourishment by not only getting food points, but also saturation points up at the same time. A lot of the stuff fairly self-explanatory, like the inscribers from AE2, redstone furnaces because they're faster and more reliable than the infernal furnace. The unifier, color code is a joke because that's where I'm from. And Essentia distillation, right? Go through the sag mill and smelting. So the sag mill is a thing that helps you get more out of a lot of the things that you use. The Tycon smeltery, which actually goes over to that thing, which we'll get to in a second here, as well as the molecular transformer, which allows you to turn, iron into what is it? Iridium. That's the one. So this is the main platform of the lobby, right? Kind of went a little artistic. There's a quantum network bridge down there connecting it to the main AE2 network. But let's check out the Botania setup, right? So I got ones with the alchemy pools with the alchemy catalyst and the conjuration catalyst. Still need to do a little work here. This is all still technically a work in progress. I wanted to move this mana gen thing because I got these Kekimurus here below this, so you can kind of see this is the cake placer machine, and I've used sparks to distribute the mana. Whenever any of it's used, it refills itself. So this is the thing that places cakes. I use sticks to kind of keep it from sucking up too many cakes at once. And just a quick little system here so that when this thing runs out of mana, this thing turns off, and then this transmitter stops sending a signal to this receiver, which means that this block gets pulled back, which actually completes the circuit because this repeater that's attached to a timer. And thankfully, I think I've got a sound dampener here. Do I? I don't know. It gets a little weird at times. But this places cakes, and then these Kekimurus eat them and generate more mana. And so you can do Runic Altar, right? So you can do that kind of stuff. Another Petal Apothecary. Just random or just regular mana pools if you need to recharge anything, like Bands of Mana or the Terra Shatterers, or anything that stores mana. As we're doing extra alchemy stuff with Botania, another crafting terminal. So I've extended the AE2 network to most of these things. That's some Botania setup, right? We got Elven mana spreaders and all that good stuff. Let's check out the infusion altar, right? So this is from Thaumcraft 4. This is basically the exact same setup that I have in the Wizard Tower, which I now just realized that I forgot to show all of. So I'll get back to that in a sec, eventually. But this is the heads that stabilize all the infusions. And so this is a 9x9x5 set of zombie heads, and this basically completely eliminates any instabilities. Like, I can make endgame items here that uses every one of these things. It even has an unbalanced item. I click go, and I can walk away, and nothing happens, right? So a little Essentia terminal to monitor, double check that I have enough Essentia to do the infusion. A little arcane crafting terminal to pull items out or craft additional items that I might need. We got the smeltery over here, right? So we can do some casting. Got a pattern chest, right? So part builder, tool forge, all the good stuff. casting tables for making various parts. We've got an ender chest with all these casts here. So this is so you can set up multiple. Excuse me. So you can set up multiple smelteries and share the casts between them. Another crafting terminal here. You can access the ME network. I decided to go whole hog on this one and power it with blazing pyrotheum to make it work a little faster and do that. It's got a, you can see it's got a pretty good amount of storage in here. You can smelt a good bunch of stuff at once with this thing. And let's see, so I think, yeah, last one is the enchanting wing. So I kind of replicated the enchanting wing up here. We've got an enchanter, a diamond chest holding book and quills. Again, mana pylons to up the effective level so you can get max level enchantments. Another typesetting and printing press from Bibliocraft for duplicating rare enchantments that are hard to find. The Osmotic Enchanter is pretty frickin' cool. You put a wand here and then an item to enchant here, and you can put basically any enchantment at any arbitrary level there. And this is kind of the crown jewel of the enchanting wing. This is an experience obelisk that I pipe all the experience that comes out of this mob farm, and I dump all the experience I have in it. 310 levels stored of XP, which is a butt load. And another void metal anvil. So we got some enchanting of various stripes. Let's actually go back and finish up the Wizard Tower tour, because I realized that I forgot to show you guys like half the stuff that's here. So, you know, we saw these tools, we saw these trophies, brewing station, thaumatorium, with some thaumic cake, yum yum, stuff embedded in the floor, the enchanting wing again, recharging station thing. But if we go, actually, there's one thing left here. This is a little neat thing from Britannia, and you can see he's got a little smile on his face and his head's kind of tilted up. When it rains, he gets a frown on his face and his head tilts down, and this comparator will start, and he'll start outputting a redstone signal. Well, if you then throw a sunflower on this guy, he turns the rain off. And so this is part of a system that I have that completely eliminates the rain anywhere in all dimensions. So I like that because I just don't like the rain. This is kind of the farming area. So you can see I've got this big old mana bean farm for specific essentia that I wanted to grow. Got some sugar canes right here, some essence berry bushes. I don't have a harvesting golem over on this side because it got a little full. This guy picks up everything except charcoal and mana tablets because this is where I first started experimenting with Britannia stuff. I didn't really know what I was doing, so I kind of went overkill on these mana spreaders. But yeah, I've got some melons. I forget what I had here. Got some potatoes up here on the second level. We've got Rosa Mysteria. This is from Thaumic Bases. This is a really cool crop. Thaumic Bases adds a lot of really cool crops to the game. Like these things, like Lazulia, this grows lapis. This grows tobacco. Here's some pumpkins. These things will grow the various like fragments that are good for distilling into primal essences. And I use solanolias frickin' everywhere to keep my ring of magnetization from picking everything up. But like, so there's nether wart here. I used to have void seeds growing here. It's also part of Thaumic Bases. Glionia, I don't think there's any way to pronounce that. This grows glowstone dust. These things that look like, oh, yep, see? And then, poof, right? That hopper hawk down there picks it up. These things, these red lawn stems, they look like pumpkin and melon stems, but they actually grow redstone blocks, which are really cool. Oh, yeah, that one just finished up. Yeah. So you see they come with a good number of aspects, so they're great to harvest if you need lots of primal essence. These plaques, these grow string. I'm actually really happy with how this farming area turned out. I got some berries from the nether, just because they were also good sources of otherwise rare essentias. And then here you can see this is kind of the same as the infusion altar that I made in the lobby. So got the V stuff passing around. This is the food smelter, right? So this is to grind food up, smelt it, and then give you extra stuff. Here's the quantum network bridge that links the main AE2 network to the wizard tower here. I built initially this is just kind of messing around, figuring out how the Tycon smeltery worked. And let's see. Oh, right, we got this. This is a portal to the Deep Dark. I think you have to right-click on that, but I don't want to go there yet. This was the villagers that I had captured, a number of them. Even though this guy doesn't really have anything good, I really like him because he's the king-ish. Yeah, that's a iron farm that I don't really need anymore. But yeah, so we got this. This is the top floor. So this is the rest of the wizard tower. We finished that up. I use these portals from the portal gun mod to get around. Whee! Back on the first floor. And okay, so that is everything in the wizard tower. Okay, so let's see. We go back to the lobby. Come on. There we go. Okay, so we're in the lobby, right? So again, we got these portals from the portal gun mod. This one actually goes to the main infrastructure chunk that I use to do everything. And basically, the idea is that I built all the stuff, like all the things that those chests over there dump into, is automated as much as possible, right? So, coming into the infrastructure chunk, I think it's F9. Yeah, okay. So you can kind of see these grids here. The red lines indicate chunk boundaries, with the green indicating individual blocks. So everything that you see here, with this little exception over here, and I think maybe one or two things up there, is inside a single chunk, which reduces the load on the server when I keep it loaded. So this is a similar mechanism to what you saw with the Kekamuru farm, in that it controls when charcoal is dispensed to these endoflames, which in turn provide mana to this massive array of mana pools. I think, let's see, this is 8 by 6 by 6. So it's a lot of mana pools. Similar complement of panels and terminals from the AE2 network, right? So with this, we will actually start at the top and work our way down. So at the top up here, this is actually near the build height. These are solar panels, right? So this dimension is always noontime. It's always noon here. So these panels are always outputting max power. These are the quantum solar panels from the advanced solar panels mod. They output, or they generate rather, 4,096 EU per tick. I've got 9 of them, all funneling into this P2P tunnel. So anywhere there's an ME network, I can throw another P2P tunnel and key it to this, and it's basically an EU fire hose. Just spews EU as fast as you can use it, pretty much. And we'll see just how fast it supplies power when we get to the we get further down and see some of the auto crafting stuff. This is a network bridge to link this stuff up here with the main network below us, because you can see there's some stuff that blocks the passage of cabling. These are all the dimension builders that house the various dimensions that I build. So, you know, things like dimensional shards and tin, that's tin again, glass, steel, charged quartz, right? So these are all resource dimensions. They're just filled with that resource, right? So I've got quite a few powered. Let's see, in this case, frequency 4 is solar power, because these are 12 ultimate solar panels, each of which cranks out, I think, was it 32,768 RF per tick. There's 12 of these things. Again, this is the cryo flux duct, which has limitless RF transfer. So it feeds all of these things first, and then any excess goes through this tesseract to other places. This actually is a really interesting thing that I built that maintains a level of sunflowers in the system at all times. So you guys saw that little ghost-looking thing that keeps the rain off. Well, I use a combination of a sunflower here, a dispenser, a export bus, with a crafting card to automatically craft bone meal and a level emitter for set for sunflowers to make sure that there's always enough sunflowers in the system at any time. So it's a pretty neat setup. We got a timer right here, a little vacuum hopper to pick everything up and import it into the system. This is the molecular transformer. You can look that up on the FTB wiki. I don't feel like explaining it. Then so let's keep going down. This is the cobblestone generator that I have. So using the transfer node items, as well as the speed upgrade and world interaction upgrades. When in this configuration, we have cobblestone with lava and water on opposite sides. It doesn't even update anything. It doesn't do any animations. It just says this is a cobblestone generator because it is, and just sucks in a metric buttload. Of cobblestone. And I have plans to expand it and increase the outputs just for grins. This is the framing for another layer if I decide to put more stuff in here. You can see there's just tons of room left over anyway. All of these leaves, because this is a tree farm, again. So these autonomous activators are, so all three of these are powered from below. Greatwood saplings again. So whenever they grow, this guy uses the axe, this awakened Icorium axe, which set in tree mode, which you can see from the tooltip, will instantly chop down the entire tree at once. So everything falls down here and then gets sucked up by, let's see, where is it? Yes, this floating hopper hawk right here, and dumps everything into the pile, which is the orange code. A lot of this is, so I've got some extra essence berry bushes here just for grins. The sugar cane, the wheat, more of these Rosa Mysterias. This is for, the Rosa Mysterias are for the, I'm out of herba essentia. Crap. Okay, these are for the hungry node to get the essences up. But those are, and the cows, and, oh goodness gracious, the chickens right here give me eggs and milk, right, with this rancher, gives me milk. These are the ingredients for the cakes, right, so basically this layer right here gives me everything that I need to make cake automatically, which goes back to that Kekamuro farm that we saw in the lobby. Continuing down, we see, let's see, what is this? Solenolia, right? That keeps the ring of magnetization from picking up stuff that I don't want it to pick up. I think I've already shown, yeah, so we've got all these endo flames and the mana pools. Portal to Alfheim. I threw a little thing in here so that you can shut off the portal instantly if you need to. A couple of jaded amaranthus, right? So you have a supply of flowers just in case. And let's keep going down. All right, now we get to the really interesting stuff here. So these, basically you see these, everything that's under the sign and to the left of it until the next sign is specifically set to only harvest or hold the labeled material. So these three right here and the three on the other side, so 6 total, hold dark steel. So when I go to the dimension for molten dark steel, they only flow into here, they get cast, and then immediately pulled out into over here, where they go through a unifier. Everything goes through a unifier to reduce duplicates, right? Because, you know, lead from one mod, another mod, you know, and a third mod. It's like, oh my goodness, I don't want to have 3 different things here. So this unifier, for tin, copper, and lead specifically, will just unify everything, so it's all the same. We've got a lot of casting basins here for all kinds of different stuff, like vibrant alloy, dark steel, electrical steel, lead, mana steel, aluminum, energetic alloy, obsidian, terra steel, elementium, redstone alloy, cobalt, which is very expensive, iron. I deliberately gave this frickin' 12 casting basins to really crank that out. Glass I gave a similar amount because you need a ton to make the ultimate solar panels. Then copper down here because you always need more copper. let's see. So that's casting. So that basically you just go to a resource dimension, slap down a pump, a tesseract, and a couple of teleport receivers, or teleport receiver and transmitter, and you just show up, and the pump draws power from the tesseract and pumps fluids back through it, which then come in through this tesseract and get piped to their appropriate casting basin. And then you can see it's Ender IO conduit here. One of them is the fluid conduit. The other one is an item conduit to take the metal blocks out. For that, let's see. Then, let's see, right. And so these break down the blocks of items into the ingot forms and then subsequently pushes them back into the network, or into the pile, which is what I call the ME network that I have. This is the inscriber chest. So this will automatically make the three kinds of processors: the engineering, logic, and calculation processors for AE2 stuff. These are the crystal growth accelerators. This is an open crate, so this is automatically producing pure Certus, nether quartz, and fluix crystals, also from AE2. The frames on the side of the chest mean that this hopper hawk will only pick up those items, so it'll drop the seeds in there. The seeds will grow in a few minutes, and then the hopper hawk picks up the finished products, and only the finished products. So that's pretty cool. And then this fluid assembler is from Extra Cells 2, and it allows you to make things like cake or enderium that use fluids, and it uses them directly from fluid storage cells, which we'll get to in a second, instead of having to create buckets of the item and do it that way. So that I thought was really handy. Moving further down, we get to the set of network bridges, right? So my name's Rob. This is my remote connection. I have the other end of this is actually in this bottomless. Actually, it's not here right now. It's currently feeding a hungry node, but you know, the wizard tower, dimensional workshop, and main power, that's down below. Solar farm, that one goes up top. Let's see, I'm trying to remember, what the hell did I do with this? Oh yeah, the color coding I got a little inconsistent on this one. But this establishes the links to all the different other places, right? The pocket base, which is the lobby. This one, yeah. So that connects these things to other sections. Over here, we've got the deep storage setup. So we've got some extra storage buses here that are ready for extra stuff. But, you know, things that are much higher capacity, like iron ingots, which I've got 1.2 million of, dirt, lead ingots, silver I don't have too much of at the moment, but copper I got a bunch of, gravel I got a decent amount of, right? So it just stores extra stuff that's potentially got just super amounts of it. Ooh, what's this one? Oh, that's the milk, right. So this is the storage for the ME system. These top two here are these 1024K or meg drives from Extra Cells 2. This one, oh, still has some stuff in it. All of these, though, are 64K cells, right? So these 5 that you see here, all filled with 64K cells. Down here, this is where I put the Essentia storage and fluid storage. I plan on expanding the fluid storage later on. So that's the storage for items, some items. Then over here, this is power. So I got some energy cells just for backup, for shits and giggles. But I use the radioisotope generators from IC2 because they are truly limitless, require no fuel. They just run. These provide enough power to power the entire network if it's not crafting. Hence why I've got extra power coming in via, channel 4 is solar power, right? So any excess solar power comes down here to help power the auto crafting stuff, which is actually what we're getting into next. So we've got pardon the frame rate drops. There's just so much going on here. It's part of the reason why I don't spend a lot of time here. It's designed to be completely remote access. So I got an advanced alchemical furnace for doing that. We got some energized nodes powering that completely. And then we get into the auto crafting stuff here. So this is a little setup that I did to help do the sag mill. Here's some IC2 stuff set on auto crafting. And I mentioned earlier about the quantum panels outputting basically just an EU fire hose. So that means, so yeah, got 15 overclocker upgrades on this compressor. This metal former has 11. This one's got 5. This one's got 11. Another 11. Yeah, so these things run just in the blink. Every operation takes the blink of an eye or less. So super fast, super automated, and I think super cool. Continuing the theme of auto crafting, this whole setup here, from this chest to these better barrels to these sag mills to these redstone furnaces, this is part of the ore processing system. So here's the red chest again. So you can just dump things directly in to be smelted in these furnaces, or you can put them in this chest where, so this will store bulk storage for when you go harvesting just many inventories worth of a particular ore, so the system doesn't get clogged. And then it distributes them to these sag mills, which greatly increase the output. And they've all got these dark steel balls in them to further increase the output. And then they get smelted in here and subsequently dumped into the unifier here, which actually is over this way, right? So they come into here, and it gets pulled into the unifier. Mostly it's the ingots that I'm worried about, and then dumped into the pile. So there's ore processing, some machine auto crafting. These down here, these are the crafting CPUs, right? I have this gigantic one here to automatically craft ultimate solar panels. Those are very expensive. I think they take like 2.5 megs worth of storage. More machines connected to interfaces here. So these also have lots of encoded patterns to do very common stuff, right? And 5 machines, because that's the max you can get around them, or at least that I've found to be feasible to get around them, to maximize the speed at which they can output stuff. So you've got sawmills, alloy smelters, redstone furnaces, induction smelters, pulverizers, number of good stuff. And then here, these are the interfaces for the molecular assemblers, right? So you can see through the molecular assemblers to the interfaces behind them. Because of the way power and data work in this, you can have, I have 6 assemblers around every single interface here. Even though some of them share the interface, I've done, actually, let's see. I have arranged the patterns such that, yeah. So instead of doing them across like this, I do them down like this. And so that helps to spread out patterns that are for similar items. So it maximizes the amount or the speed at which you can construct things in parallel. So this actually takes up an entire dense cable to do that. Now this down here, this big cobblestone block with a few knobbly things sticking out of it, this is actually at the moment, I think it's, yeah, just a skeleton grinder. You can check on the tooltip right there. And this actually works with these level emitters on both bones and arrows. And so anytime that those get below the specified level, this grinder turns on, spawns skeletons until there's enough bones and or arrows to satisfy the system's requirements. So I have limitless bones, limitless arrows, just forever. And again, they all get dumped into the pile via those ender chests. Now you can see we've got a lot of space down here. This is the big reactor. I think this is 10 by 10 by 14 internally. And this thing will crank out a buttload of power. I think 221,000 RF per tick at max output, but even cruising lower than that, right? So right now we've got very low power draw. And the reason for this is that it's actually the fuel rod insertion, or the power output, is dynamically controlled by these 2 items right here, these red net ports. And basically what they do is they will calibrate, or they adjust how much the fuel rods are inserted based on how much energy is stored here. Let me turn that off. So when it's full, you get the rods completely inserted, meaning nothing is being produced, right? And so when it starts dipping, oh, the power reserves are less than 100% full, start pulling the rods out and start generating power. At this power consumption, this could basically go forever because I'm running it on plutonium blocks, and I've got, you can see there, I've got a little over 521,000 of them, which is a lot. This thing could run, I did the math on it, and I could manually set this thing to output 112,000 RF per tick and let it run continuously. Like, leave the server up, let this thing run 24/7 for over 2 years with this amount of fuel and these reprocessors recycling spent fuel down here. Got a little bit, so there's the power taps for main power. A few things left over from dimlets. So this is when I was really searching for the iron ingot dimlet. So this just sort of sorts them out into different things, and then I can scramble them again. This is similar to the casting facility that we saw way up there, but it's deliberately separated just to make sure that the plutonium doesn't mix with anything else, because I've got a whole dimension filled with molten plutonium. So this thing basically has infinite fuel. Okay, so that's the infrastructure chunk. And again, another little quantum link right here just to get around, because this reactor actually takes up the entirety of the chunk. It goes to the chunk boundaries, which you can kind of see. Oop, there we go. Yeah. So I kind of had to do that to be able to connect it down here. And with that, I think we're done with that. So the only thing left to show is I'm using the Draconic Evolution Enhanced Teleporter, or whatever the hell it's called. Renode. So this is one of the things I was working on before I put this down for good. Sorry for that ticking. I need a muffler here. So there's an ender chest to allow me to just dump things into this. I think we're auto-crafting, yep, stone swords, because they're the best for that. But this, you can see from the size of it, it's pretty frickin' huge. Let's see, we need to take that off and that off, just to make sure we don't mess anything up. Anybody gonna shoot at us? Nope, okay. Let's see what we got. Yes, this is very dangerous. Okay. Woo-wee! That's a lot. That's a lot. So this is before it's energized. So the idea is to get this up even higher, just for grins. Screw it. Alright, so now let's just teleport back to the lobby. And I think that's everything. So that's a little quick tour, or not so quick tour, of my little Minecraft world. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't, screw you. If you did, cool. Have a good day.